All right, let's get into it. Today we're going to be looking at the 2026 KTM 1390 Super Adventure S Evo. Yeah, we found this awesome article on, one of those motorcycle websites talking about this bike, and
Oh, yeah.
so we're going to deep dive into it. This thing's got more bells and whistles than a marching band.
It really does. This is a fully loaded machine.
Oh yeah, you've got more power, automatic transmission.
Yeah, the tech on this thing is
Crazy.
nice.
So the article calls this a new era of adventure.
A new era.
What makes this bike so groundbreaking?
Well, KTM's known for pushing the limits, right? And it seems like they just keep upping the ante every year. But with this model, they've just taken it to a whole other level.
They really have.
It's not just one thing. It's the engine, the suspension,
Oh,
all the tech, the comfort, the customization.
yeah, speaking of the engine, 1,350 cc's,
Mm.
170 horsepower.
Oof.
That's a lot of bike.
That's a serious amount of power, especially for an adventure bike.
So how do they make that manageable? I mean, that's a beast.
Well, that's where their new camshift technology comes in.
Cam shift. All right, break that down for me.
Okay, so basically, it adjusts the valve timing on the fly, depending on, your riding conditions and how you're riding.
So like if I'm like crawling up a rocky trail.
Exactly. You need that low-end torque, and camshift is going to give it to you.
And then when I hit the open row,
Boom. It opens up and gives you that top-end power.
so it's like having two engines in one.
Kinda, yeah. You get the best of both worlds.
All right, I'm starting to get, but you mentioned suspension too.
Oh, yeah, they've got this WP semi-active suspension, and it's incredible.
That's semi-active.
So it constantly analyzes the road and adjusts the suspension in real time.
Okay, so like if I hit a pothole
The suspension will adjust instantly. You barely even feel it.
and then on the highway.
It smooths everything out, gives you a super plush ride.
The article said you can adjust the suspension settings from the TFT display too.
Yeah, that's right. You can tailor the suspension to any kind of riding you're doing.
So it's like having a custom suspension setup for every situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
But wait, hold on. You said automatic transmission.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
Okay, you're blowing my mind here.
So no more clutch lever.
No clutch lever at all.
Nope. You can choose between manual shifting with the foot shifter or full automatic mode
So I could be like cruising down the highway
and just let the bike do its
and
thing.
without ever touching the clutch.
Exactly. Or you can use the handlebar paddles for manual gear changes.
Wow, this is like next level stuff.
It is. KTM's really pushing the envelope
And
here.
I bet this is going to be a game changer for new riders.
You think so?
Yeah, because, I mean, learning to use a clutch can be intimidating,
For sure. It's one of the biggest hurdles for new riders.
especially on an adventure bike where you're dealing with all sorts of terrain.
Exactly. This makes it so much easier for people to get into adventure riding.
Yeah, just hop on and go. But what about experienced riders? Will they like this?
Well, think about it. Even if you're a seasoned rider,
Mm.
wouldn't it be nice to not have to worry about the clutch in heavy traffic?
True. Or on a really long ride.
Yeah, your hand would get tired from all that clutching.
And you know what? It could actually make riding safer, too.
How so?
Well, if you're not fumbling with the clutch, you can focus more on, the road and your surroundings.
That's a good point. It frees up your mental bandwidth.
Exactly.
It's all about making the ride smoother and more enjoyable.
For everyone.
Exactly. And you know what else they've done?
What?
They've upgraded the adaptive cruise control.
Oh, yeah, the article mentioned that.
But it's not just your standard ACC.
How so?
Because of the automatic transmission, the bike can now completely stop and resume automatically in traffic.
Hold on.
You heard that right?
So I could be on the highway, stuck in traffic,
Yep.
and the bike would just, stop and go on its own.
Pretty much.
That is insane.
It's pretty wild.
I mean, that's got to be a game changer for commuting, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And for long trips.
Imagine just cruising down the highway, letting the bike handle the stop-and-go traffic while you relax.
Wow. That sounds like a dream come true.
It's getting closer and closer to reality.
So we've got this powerful engine, automatic transmission, advanced cruise control. What else? What other tricks does this bike have up its sleeve?
Well, how about customizable riding modes?
Ooh, tell me more.
You've got 4 preset modes: Sport, Street, Comfort, and Rain. And within each mode, you can fine-tune things like throttle response, engine braking, and suspension settings.
So I can literally dial in the bike to match my riding style.
Yep. Whether you want a more aggressive throttle for sporty riding, or a softer setup for cruising around town.
That's incredible.
It's all about personalization.
Right.
KTM wants you to be able to create the perfect riding experience.
The perfect riding experience.
Exactly.
I mean, this is sounding less like a motorcycle and more like a spaceship.
I know, right? It's packed with so much tech, it's almost overwhelming.
But in a good way.
Oh, yeah. Definitely in a good way.
All right, so we've talked about the engine, the suspension, the transmission, all the tech. But what about comfort? Is this bike actually comfortable to ride?
Oh, absolutely. KTM hasn't forgotten about the importance of rider comfort.
Okay, good, because all this tech is great. But if you're not comfortable, what's the point?
Right, exactly. So they've completely redesigned the bodywork.
Oh, yeah, the article mentioned that.
It's more aerodynamic and directs engine heat away from the rider.
So no more burnt legs on a hot day.
No more burn legs. They've also lowered the foot pegs slightly.
Ah, I see.
So you get a more relaxed riding position, which is great for long rides.
Smart.
It's all about those little details that make a big difference.
Yeah, I can see that. They've even upgraded the TFT display.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one, too.
Tell me about it.
So it's now a bigger, brighter 8.8-inch display.
8.8 inches. That's huge.
It is. And it's got a special coating that reduces glare. So you can see it clearly even in direct sunlight.
That's awesome, especially if you're, out on the open road.
Exactly. They've thought of everything.
It really seems like they have.
It's clear that they've put a lot of thought and effort into making this bike the best it can be.
Well, they've definitely got my attention.
Mine too.
This is a pretty amazing machine.
It's a beast.
A beast, yeah.
But a beautiful beast.
A beautiful high-tech beast.
Exactly.
So all this tech, is it possible that it takes away from the actual riding experience?
That's a really good question.
Like you're so focused on the gadgets, you forget to actually enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, some people might feel like all this tech creates a barrier between the rider and the machine.
Yeah, like you're not really connected to the bike anymore.
Right. But I think KTM's been pretty smart about it. They've integrated all this tech in a way that's really intuitive. It's there to assist you, not to take over.
So it's more like enhancing the riding experience.
Exactly. It's about giving you more control, more options.
And ultimately, it's up to the rider how they want to use it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Some riders might love all the bells and whistles. Others might prefer to keep things more simple.
It's all about personal preference.
That's the beauty of motorcycling. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
Well said. So, do you think this bike is going to influence other manufacturers?
Oh, I have no doubt about it.
Oh.
Other brands are definitely watching what KTM's doing.
Especially with the automatic transmission.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
Could we see other adventure bikes going automatic in the future?
I think it's very likely. If this bike is a hit, other manufacturers are going to want to get in on the action.
Makes sense from a business perspective.
Yeah, it opens up the market to a whole new group of riders.
People who might have been intimidated by a manual transmission.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it could make adventure riding more accessible to people with disabilities.
That's a great point.
It's about making motorcycling more inclusive.
I like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of accessibility, the article mentioned a stiffer frame.
Oh, yeah,
I imagine that makes the bike handle better.
definitely. A stiffer frame means better stability and control, especially off-road.
And that translates to a safer ride.
Absolutely. Safety is always a top priority.
And we can't forget about the advanced cruise control. That's got to be a huge safety feature, too.
Oh, for sure. Being able to maintain a safe distance from other vehicles, especially on the highway, that's a huge plus.
It's like having an extra set of eyes on the road.
Kinda, yeah. It takes some of the stress out of riding.
So KTM's really focusing on safety with this bike.
Oh, absolutely. They're not cutting any corners.
Good to know. But, with all this talk about making adventure riding easier, is there a risk that it's becoming too easy?
That's an interesting thought.
Like, part of the appeal of adventure riding is the challenge.
The sense of accomplishment.
Right, like you've conquered something.
I get it. Some riders might feel like all this tech takes away from that.
Yeah, like it's cheating somehow.
But I think it really depends on your perspective. For some riders, the challenge might be about exploring new places, pushing their own limits, not necessarily about wrestling with the bike.
Yeah, I guess it's about what you personally find challenging and rewarding.
Exactly. And even with all this tech, there's still plenty of skill involved in adventure riding.
Oh, for sure. You still need to know how to handle the bike, how to read the terrain.
How to make quick decisions.
Right. It's not like the bike just rides itself.
It's a partnership between the rider and the machine.
A high-tech partnership.
Exactly.
All right, so we've talked a lot about the tech, the safety, the riding experience. But what about the looks? Is this bike actually good looking?
Oh, it's stunning. KTM's really stepped up their game in the design department.
Okay, good, because I mean, a bike can have all the tech in the world, but if it's ugly,
Nobody wants to ride it.
exactly. So what's new?
Well, the bodywork is all new. It's more aggressive, more modern.
Yeah, the article mentioned that it's like sharper lines, more angles,
Yeah, it's got a real presence on the road.
and they've upgraded the TFT display, right?
Oh, yeah, the display is gorgeous. It's big, bright, and colorful.
The article said it's 8.8 inches?
Yep, and it's super easy to read, even in direct sunlight.
That's impressive.
They've really paid attention to the details.
So this is a bike that not only performs well, but it looks good doing it.
Exactly. It's a head-turner, for sure.
I bet it's expensive, though.
Well, yeah, all this tech and innovation comes at a price.
But I'm sure there are plenty of riders out there who are willing to pay for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
This is a premium bike aimed at a discerning rider.
Someone who appreciates the finer things in life.
Exactly. Someone who wants the best of the best.
But let's step back for a minute and think about the bigger picture. What kind of impact do you think this bike is going to have on the motorcycle industry?
Well, I think it's safe to say that this is a game changer. KTM is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with an adventure bike.
And they're not afraid to experiment with new technology.
Nope. They're really pushing the envelope.
And that's got to have an effect on other manufacturers.
Oh, for sure. Other brands are going to have to step up their game to compete.
We could see a whole new generation of adventure bikes.
Bikes with more tech, more performance, more comfort.
It's an exciting time to be an adventure rider.
It really is. The future's looking bright.
But it's not just about the bikes themselves, is it?
What do you mean?
Well, I think this bike raises some interesting questions about the future of motorcycling in general.
Like what?
Like, what's the role of technology in our riding experience? Is it there to enhance our enjoyment? Or is it becoming a distraction?
That's a good question. I think it's a balance. We want technology that makes riding easier and safer,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want to lose that connection with the machine.
Right. We don't want to become so reliant on technology that we forget how to actually ride a motorcycle.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot.
The balance between technology and the human element.
Right. It's a conversation we need to keep having.
And this bike, this KTM, it's definitely sparking that conversation.
It is. It's making us think about what we want from motorcycling.
And what the future holds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The future is full of possibilities.
So who's this bike really for?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I mean, on the one hand, you've got all these experienced adventure riders, the folks who, they want the latest and greatest tech. They want that edge in performance.
Right, they want a bike that can handle anything.
Exactly. But then you've also got, people who are new to adventure riding.
The folks who might be intimidated by a more traditional bike.
Yeah, and the automatic transmission could be a game changer for them.
For sure.
So is KTM trying to appeal to both groups?
It seems like it.
I mean, can you even do that? Can you create a bike that satisfies both the hardcore adventurers and the newbies?
That's a tough challenge.
Yeah, because you don't want to alienate your core audience.
The riders who've been with you from the beginning,
Right.
but you also want to attract new riders.
Expand the market.
Exactly.
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
But I think KTM might be onto something here.
You do.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. There's a growing number of riders who want it all.
What do you mean?
They want the thrill of adventure, but they also want the comfort and convenience of modern technology.
Ah, I see what you're saying.
They don't want to rough it. They want to have their cake and eat it too.
Right, they want the adventure without the sacrifice.
Exactly.
So maybe this KTM is the answer.
Maybe it is.
It's like, ride hard, ride easy.
Huh. I like that.
It's got a nice ring to it.
It does, and I think it captures the essence of this bike.
A bike that can handle any terrain, but is also comfortable and easy to ride.
The best of both worlds.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for the future of adventure riding?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Will we see other manufacturers following KTM's lead?
I think it's inevitable.
Really?
Yeah, if this bike is a success, other brands are going to want to get in on the action.
So we could see a whole new wave of adventure bikes.
Bikes with automatic transmissions, advanced cruise control, all the bells and whistles.
It's an exciting time to be an adventure rider.
It really is.
But it's also a little bit scary, right?
Oh, so?
Well, all of this technology, is it changing the nature of adventure riding?
That's a good question.
Like, is it taking away from the challenge? The sense of adventure?
I don't know. I think it depends on the rider.
Yeah, I guess it's all about perspective.
Some riders might embrace the technology. Others might prefer a more traditional approach.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Exactly.
But it's something to think about.
For sure.
as we move forward into this new era of adventure riding.
An era of technology and innovation.
And hopefully an era of even more adventure.
That's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Well, folks, that about wraps up our deep dive into the 2026 KTM 1390 Super Adventure S Evo. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the bike's impressive specs and features to its potential impact on the motorcycle industry.
We've talked about the role of technology in our riding experience, and we've raised some important questions about the future of adventure riding.
But ultimately, it's up to each of you to decide what kind of adventure you want to have
What kind of bike you want to ride.
and how you want to experience the world on two wheels.
So get out there, explore, and have fun.
Ride safe.
And keep the rubber side down.
We'll see you next time.